So how did the Seahawks do? What did obviously you liked what they did, but why did you like their class so much?
Freaking killed it. Got my number one corner, my number one wide receiver, a pass rusher that a lot of people thought could have gone first round. And then I really thought some of the day 3 picks were really good, like from a scheme fit, from a value, from a need. The team checked every need that they have. For a playoff team to be able to do that says a lot. When you can go in and check off needs, it's just really smart team building. It was an A draft in my opinion.
Can we walk through them? I did this on the Monday after the draft, but I certainly don't know the day 3 guys like you do. I've got a pretty good grasp. Got to see a bunch of them in person in their games. But can we do just like a 15, 30-second little thumbnail sketch on each of these guys, and maybe an anecdote that you haven't shared with us about some of them, or that may be a little unique to them? Can we hammer through those? Are your beta waves back after the fatigue of that
Absolutely.
Saturday? You're good? Okay. Let's just rip through these 10, as I said, 15, 30 seconds, whatever you got. Let's start at the very top with Devin.
He was my top corner. Feisty, physical, sticky in coverage. He'll be a tone setter from a physicality and a toughness standpoint. And it's funny, about 10 days before the draft, I had a little nugget in an article of, I've heard Seattle's done a ton of work on Devin Witherspoon, and they love him. And it was just you hear it from a couple people, kind of a throwaway. It's fun to go back and look at that now. And I've thanked the person who gave me that information because it was spot on.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
So he was my top receiver, elite route runner, short area quickness, burst, does not drop the football. He only had 5 drops in college, despite being a heavily targeted player. He's going to dominate from the slot, but like a Cooper Kupp, like a Justin Jefferson, there's some versatility to be an inside-outside receiver. He's the future of that position for Seattle, in my opinion.
Derek Hall.
This is the juice they needed on that outside. You know, there was so much talk about Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter. What they needed was speed. They needed burst, and he has that. His ability to first-step quickness to beat you, to use a long arm and convert that speed to power is really, really good.
Will Anderson was Terminator 1. Zach Charbonnet is Terminator 2.
No, Zach Charbonnet he's a stud. 3 down back. I was surprised that they drafted him where they did because of Kenny Walker, who I'm a big fan of, but this is your Rashad Penny replacement. Poised, patient, great vision, and I think does enough out of the backfield that he's going to get some touches early.
Now we get to the third day and the 4th through 7th rounders that I think are really key for this team and for the people they need up front, starting with the big man out of LSU, Anthony Bradford.
Yeah, just a mauler, physical, super physical, but with really great size. So for whether it's zone scheme, power scheme, I think he works well. I won't be surprised if he pushes his way into the starting lineup. He's that talented. He's got to sync up his timing a little bit better in pass protection.
Cam Young.
Yeah, this is your 3 technique that can bump out to 5 technique. He's raw. That's the thing. But I think the quickness, the leverage, and his use of length is really impressive for somebody that you're getting in late 4th round.
Mike Morris.
You go back a year from now, and Mike Morris's name is in some early first-round lists because of his potential. Michigan did not get that out of him, whether that's on the player or the system. He just wasn't developed to be 6'6", 275. You expected more, but all that talent is there. So I think, especially as this team moves to maybe more of a 30 front look, he's someone that could be, that opposite 5 technique.
Last 3 guys here, one that's getting some rave reviews and a Big Ten coach that said he had him right with John Michael Schmitz as far as centers go in that conference, Ola.
Yeah, there were scouts who loved him. There were scouts who didn't like him. I think the biggest thing is he's got to play with a little more toughness at the point of attack, but from an agility standpoint, from a play strength standpoint, it's all there. So for where he was drafted, he has a great opportunity to become a starter and way outplay his ranking.
I know a guy that John Schneider loves, personality-wise, one of his favorites of these 10, the little safety from New Mexico, Reed.
Yeah, he can play everywhere. Like you said, he's not great size, but he can play slot corner. He can play nickel. He's going to be a monster on special teams. He's just undersized. But I think all the football traits are there for him to be a really, really good player. I don't want to compare him to Quandre because Quandre is different, but it's almost a similar usage example is what you're looking at.
And then when you mentioned Mike Morris the year before, the highly thought of, I think Kenny McIntosh coming off a national title year, all the versatility. If I would have told you then that he was going to be a 7th-round pick, you'd probably be a little surprised. Their final draft pick, the running back from Georgia.
Yeah, he just didn't run well. That's the only reason he's still available where he was, but he is one of the best receivers out of the backfield, whether that be screen game, check down. You want to get the ball in his hands as a receiver. Quicker than fast is the word I would put on him.
That's a good, yeah, I mean, and that's something else they could use. So there you go. That's sort of a look through their entire draft with Matt Miller. Let me come back to the top of this draft and go back to Witherspoon. Why didn't we talk more about him? I mean, you mentioned that you had a note there, and we started to see a couple of notes about him in the last week or so. But why didn't we talk more about him leading up to this?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I've even gone back and looked at my own stuff of like, you can see a moment in my reporting and rank and mock drafts and stuff of when I got that information that Seattle really liked him. And it was a like a switch was flipped for me. But it's funny to look at the roster, be like, oh, wait, we really overlooked that need for another corner because Tariq was so good last year. And you have a Trey Brown and you have Kobe Bryant, but like they were both 4th-round picks. So there really was there was a need there that I think just didn't get reported enough because we were so caught up in the idea of, will they take a quarterback of the future? And then so caught up in, well, they're going to get one of the top pass rushers. They're going to be there. And, not looking at the scheme fit and thinking, Jalen Carter's kind of redundant to Draymond Jones. And Tyree Wilson's not a stand-up pass rusher. And, I think we overthought it to some degree. And to Pete and John's credit, they do a great job of letting the media overthink things. And then they grab a guy like Witherspoon and make sure they don't get dumped for it because Detroit would have taken him at 6. I think Atlanta would have taken him at 8. Like Witherspoon was going top 10, even if Seattle didn't take him. So he was going to come off the board really quickly.